in Torrington.
Sorry, I just want to get that recording going.
Okay. Let's see, present is Dan McGinnis, Thomas Kalinowski, Michael Kanev, Stephen Ivane, Nate Nardi Cyrus, and myself, Christine Altman. We have the minutes for the June 9th, 2022 meeting for approval.
I'll make a motion, we approve the June 9th, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Steve seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I have to abstain as I was not there. Motion carries. Okay, and we have new business, the Natural Resources Inventory Web Map.
Yeah, so I just wanted to present this idea to the group. Backing up to a little bit of my background, prior to coming here, I did kind of technical assistance to municipalities in New York State that focused primarily on conservation planning. So I usually work with small towns. I didn't have any planning staff, and I would, get a bunch of data together for them and help them do natural resources inventories, which is really just a collection of all of their natural resources data in a single place as kind of a foundation for their future efforts. And also open space planning. So the fact that that was kind of on our list of things to do, open space planning, I've been thinking about how we might approach that here with no money that's really obviously available to do that. And we were talking about at the last meeting, open space plans can be, $20,000, $30,000 to do. And that's a pretty cheap open space plan. We would fund them for $50,000 regularly when I was in New York. Hudson Valley. So out of kind of Kingston area, but we would work in the whole watershed of the Hudson River doing this stuff. Yeah, it was all over the place. So anyway, I started looking into that and thinking about, we have a lot of natural resources information here. That's something that I'm pretty uniquely qualified to put together something quick. It wouldn't take me as much time to put the inventory together. And there's a lot of ways to do it. The standard way is to kind of do this long report with a series of maps, like 20 or so maps that are, static print maps with parcels on them. And, the planning board or planning and zoning could use it, and conservation can use it to kind of make comment on projects. That's the old way to do it. Now we have the ability to make web maps pretty simply, and it's a lot easier because instead of just shuffling through maps, you can click things on and off, and it's more efficient. You can update information easier. So my proposal would be to get a license on ArcGIS Online, which is the main kind of mapping software company.
What do they use now in City Hall?
For what?
For mapping.
There is a kind of a third-party vendor that does the kind of the public-facing mapping, but it's really clunky and not available. We could do something easily that's available to anyone in the community. So anyone could look at information, whereas now there's kind of a limited set of information that's available publicly, but internally we have our own that we can't really publish. So this would be a way to bring a lot of different data into a single product that could be a good educational tool. But also at the end of the day, it's working toward this open space plan, because as a part of that, you have to kind of collect all the natural resources information. And so you're making it a little cheaper because you're doing it for your consultant down the road. So that's the idea, is that we're kind of laying a foundation for doing some of that planning by doing this interim step, but it's also really useful. It can be used by the town or the city, citizens, anyone can really use it.
Does that satisfy any part of the statutory requirements for having the plan?
It doesn't. But usually in a plan, that's part of a plan.
Okay.
There'll be like an inventory section and then the plan section. So they can kind of skip over to the plan, and hopefully that saves us a little bit of money. So I brought up one that I had worked on in New York, and I just wanted to show you what it could look like. And, as I was kind of getting at before, that it does require a specialized software license that can be a little pricey. It's $500 a year. And
$50,000.
Yeah, but for our budget, even 500,000 is like enough to be a little bit of a hurdle. But there is actually, I was aware through my prior work, there's a grant available through this company for municipalities doing conservation work. So I was able to secure it for $50 a year, which I could do immediately, practically. So I could get started on it really quickly.
What are we trying to capture? Is it vegetation, space, animals, birds?
Really everything. It's an exercise in bringing together all the information that we have in one place. Because, you know, sometimes a report will get published, it'll sit on the shelf, everyone will forget about it. This is kind of an opportunity for all of you and your knowledge of the community and what's been done. And I can talk to Jeremy and Marty even, and just making sure that everything is, we can kind of get it all in one place and curate that.
Would this be integrated with our existing GIS system, or would it be a totally?
It could be, but this is, I think it's easier to just go the separate route, and I'll show you what the mapper would look like. In fact, let me just share the screen now. Well, we do, but to get it, each user has to get their own license. And so they don't get licenses for everyone or even every department automatically. Let's see. This mouse, I will say that this mouse is really frustrating to use. Okay. To switch between the screens.
If you put a piece of paper down.
Yeah, that's a good point. If I had a little mouse pad, I don't want to click off it now though. All right. Share. Okay. Christine, can you see the
Yes.
page?
Yep.
Okay. So part of what these inventories are is it's a set of maps, but also a description of those maps, because obviously, you know, you can see a map and it has a lot of information, but then you're like, well, where did this data come from? Where can I get more information? What does it even mean in the first place? And so this is a really handy way to visualize it in a single website. So it would have a link, you know, that you can embed anywhere on your website. This is New Paltz, if anyone's familiar. Again, this is back in where I was coming from here. That's the Shungum Mountains there in the background. And so you can, yep, the gunks. And you can have an introduction here, kind of show how to use this. And then these are all categories of natural resources that it can talk about. But when you click on it, you get kind of this description of the data, but also this interactive web mapper that allows you to zoom in. You can change the base map. And these are all the layers having to do with physical resources. So here we have, you know, water bodies, streams, buried streams in this case, geology, soils, everything that's available there. And you can kind of click it on and off and get a really good idea of it. And handy, it has this right next to it. So you can see like, this is where the contour lines mean, this is steep slopes. And ideally you have a little bit of contextualization in this section in the top. It kind of talks about what the key features are, things for people to pay attention to. Same with water resources. I won't go into the data too much because there's different data available for this area, but you can get it at kind of this scale with a little bit of overlapping to other towns. You can get kind of a good idea of, you know, what's close by. This is specific habitat data for that region, but we would pull in stuff from the Housatonic Valley Association and DEEP for this type of information. Climate resiliency we would have access to. This is from the Nature Conservancy, done on modeling to basically show areas that are expected to be the most, you know, stable over time with changes in climate just because of their topography and aspect and, you know, forest presence. It's kind of a big, complicated model, but I've looked at it for Torrington. It's pretty interesting. As you might expect, the north part of the town is more ecologically valuable than the south. But the other thing I would put in one of these would be, I know that there was street tree inventory done. So like that level of information could be in here. Really anything that's available, we can put in this. And we would have all the data behind it. And so that if we got a consultant, we could just kind of give this to them as package and they could plug it into whatever their efforts are. But in the meantime, we have this like nice educational and planning tool that's available to us.
Who does all the inputting?
I would be doing that in this case.
Okay.
But you wouldn't be doing it really, you'd be finding other sources and downloading that sources and putting it on this.
Right, but I am familiar with the platform, so I'd be the one, like you would bring information to me, I would look to see where it is or help digitize it, and then I would plug it into this.
Maybe some data from our open site walks. 'Cause I
Yeah.
know There was the worksheet that Jeremy had sort of listed some natural resource information on there too. Would that be helpful? too?
Yeah, well, the cool thing about this too is that you, not only is it the Torrington GIS maps that are out now, of course, now let me try that. You're right, but that's totally what the issue was. The one that you have right now on the website, you can't click on anything other than parcels. By the way, parcels would be available on all of these too. And this one, you can actually click on a segment. Well, let's say we clicked on this. And well, in this case, that didn't have any information, but you could bring up additional information. So you could click on one of the open space inventory properties and have a list of like vernal pools, streams, that kind of thing for each of those properties. So people could really dig into this as much as they really want to, or we could as much as we wanted to. And it can be kind of updated pretty easily. So we don't have to get it right on the first pass. We can get as much as we want in and kind of always be maintaining it.
And add other maps.
Yes, it would be very, whereas with the Torrington GIS, it's done through a vendor. It's a very like cumbersome updating process where you have to do it in bulk pieces. This would just be me and you tell me and I'd go in and kind of do a little moving of stuff around and
Sounds
get
ideal.
it in. So, yeah, I think that's everything for this. So I just wanted to lay this out as kind of a new project, but it really fits under the open space plan. It's just an interim step that would, once it's done, could make it more affordable and also make us more competitive for grant funding, because we could say, hey, we've already done half the work. We just need that little bit over the top, and it's kind of like an unofficial match, where, we're showing that that if they give us the money, we're likely to push it over the finish line.
So in this New Paltz example, where's open space mapping? Is that the last time?
That's a good
Land
question.
use?
I believe it is land use. This is
Nice.
land cover. So that's just, they have some really high resolution land cover telling like what's open fields. But again, these layer lists. And again, I mean, what I used to do with my last job is like do Zoom recordings of how to use it. And it's kind of, it's not the most intuitive thing, but with a little bit of practice, it can be pretty easy to
Yeah.
use. I'm not saying, I know that there's protected lands on here,
Mhm.
but I'm just not, maybe there's like another tab.
Is there-
Yeah.
I saw parcels.
Cultural,
So like, could it be under parcels perhaps?
maybe. I think parcels is just
Just parcels.
parcels.
But anyway, is this roughly what you would want to recreate? Like,
Yeah, I could do something very similar to this. There's a lot more data available on this just because the Hudson Valley has like this fire hose of money from New York City that's like allows them to create really fancy stuff. Actually, yeah, this is, now that I'm just thinking about it, what they did for this is the protected lands is their base map. So all of these colored areas are all the protected lands. And they show up on all the maps. So you can kind of see where protected lands have important features and that, but you can click them off as well.
Cool.
So, yeah, so that's all I had on that. I mean, if you have any other questions, let me know. If you think it's something that's worth pursuing, I'll keep on kind of digging into it slowly but surely. I don't have a ton of time right now, but I can kind of continue to poke away at it.
so then we're not in a position right now to make a motion for you to go ahead with something. You're saying,
Well, you can't, I mean, that would be helpful, I think, just if I know that you're all supportive of me continuing on it. And then down the road, if you are, we can talk about, you bringing things in for me and kind of looking around to see what might be good here. And I can update you on stuff on my end. So yeah, if you want to make a motion, you have a quorum.
So the continued resource in natural resources inventory web map.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And are we authorizing you to use that grant, the $50 a year?
That you wouldn't have to, because I'm just gonna do that through our department, because
Okay.
I could probably use it for other things as well, but
Okay.
just for me to dedicate, just showing your support for it is helpful.
Okay.
mhm.
All right, can you turn off the screen sharing?
Yes,
so
I can. I'm
Look
probably
at my agenda.
probably distracting on your end, huh?
I
Let's,
just can't see if once I'm in that view, I can't see the agenda. Maybe I just, nope. Okay.
there we go. That better?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, where did it? Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on a second. So I think that the next item on the agenda was our food forests and possible funding and locations.
Right, well, I had said at the last meeting that I would take the lead on this, and actually I have not reached out to Brett yet. That was something Tom emailed me the other day about. I was about to email him, and I was just thinking if it might not be better for us to work, to really get Brett's attention. I don't know Brett really at all. I've never met him as I can recall. So I was wondering if perhaps having you, Christine, be the person reaching out, or us collectively, because I truly think we also want to have this open conversation with the land trust, the conservation district, and Torrington Trails Network, even as well as Parks and Recreation. And really the food forest idea we're having should just be one part of the teamwork between all those organizations, I think.
Okay.
I think they all, for example, the Conservation District is the one who was applying for a grant on our behalf
Correct.
some months back. So, and then we have the Land Trust. We know they've expressed interest in having a food forest. Parks and Rec should be part of the conversation too. But anyway, my point is I would like to organize. We've talked about trying to have group meetings anyway.
Yeah.
So food forest is just one thing for us to discuss as a group, but really it is an exciting thing to discuss with them. I just don't want us to get ahead of ourselves talking about food forest until we, bring it up with them and hear what they have to say. So Parks and Rec would be a big player to get to the table. I myself am a member of the Land Trust with Steve and Dan, and I know that Dan is a member of the Conservation District. I don't know who our contacts are in the Torrington Trails Network.
I can get a contact for them.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about having all of the meetings, and this would be a good, one of the topics. But I think, because there's so much overlap in interest and workload anyway, that if you could get everybody in the room, and we've talked about it, and
Mhm.
COVID seems to disrupt every time we go to do something.
Mhm.
So possibly in this fall, October, hopefully things will settle
You want to
down
bring
again.
you're talking about bringing everyone together.
Everyone
on a
together.
normal Conservation Commission meeting,
Yeah.
roundtable discussion.
And kind of saying, look, this is just, what do you do? Sort of like, what are you guys working on now type thing?
Mhm.
Oh, we're doing that too, or we're not, gee, maybe we could work together on, whatever.
Yeah, we
Well, I
could.
don't think Park and
Okay.
Recs is working on anything like that, and I don't know if they, I know in the past that, oftentimes it's been a bit of leeriness in terms of, are we adding more to the workload? Like, is an idea that we
Yeah.
have adding more to a workload that they already have nailed down?
Mhm.
So I think that what would be important is to define what it is, to maybe send out a letter to, or correspondence to the, a contact for Park and Rec, Conservation District, and the Land Trust. The Land Trust and the Conservation District might be more on the same page with us, but
Yeah.
I think we need to define what we're looking at, and I believe, I wasn't at the last meeting, but I believe we're looking at more of a natural situation where it's not going to, we're looking to have a design that does not require a lot of maintenance. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Yeah,
So I think we
I don't
need to,
even know Park and Rec is really, I don't see them really being interested in it at all. I mean, historically, they have not been
if not interested in food forests, I still would like a dialogue with them, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I would almost say that's separate from
Yeah,
meeting with the conservation, the Conservation Commission, the Land Trust.
Yeah, I mean, the reason we wanted to bring them in, I think, from what I recall, we were discussing potentially using Bannon Street Park for location because it gets a lot of sunlight.
mhm.
So we could either use municipal property, which in that case we'd have to bring.
Yeah, you have to bring them in on that,
Or
on that,
land
for one
trust.
specific
Right.
project, yeah,
Mhm.
not for a whole general.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. They
But-
might not want to, they might view it as a waste of time to be involved in all the general talks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But
Um,
some trails are being designed now from like the John Brown property through Five Points and all the way down to Stillwater. So if they're designing that, we might want to, plant these ideas.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking out loud, is there anything stopping us from showing up at their meeting and bringing items up on their agenda, the Parks Department? I mean, if we,
I don't know how they're going to.
yeah,
Yeah.
just like they
have
could come to
never
our
had
meeting.
that type of
Yeah.
meeting. They're
The
not
gen-
volunteer, right? They're correct, Nate? They're not
Yeah,
a
they
volunteer.
may, I'm not sure if they have a board
They
or,
do.
Right.
yeah, I would
Or we can
think,
submit
They,
correspondence.
they're
Right,
employees of the city.
Right.
So
No, they're part of the, they're part of the city, they're appointed,
They're
yeah, they're like
nominated
this,
by the
they're
mayor.
nominated by the mayor, appointed by the mayor.
So I believe they meet at 5 o'clock Armory,
Yeah.
the first Wednesdays of every month.
I don't know
Yeah.
the timing.
because we know that they've got plenty of other things on their minds and agendas, so, I mean, maybe I'll go to one of their meetings and try to meet, forgetting his name,
Brett.
Brett and some of the others.
Yeah, or even if it's just a proclamation that they're either willing to work with us, or if they're not interested at all.
Right, because I think
If
you're
they're
right.
not interested at all, we could just drop them off then.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Dan, that the other groups we just mentioned, they're a little closer and aligned with our mission.
Yeah.
And we can collaborate more with them, but
Yeah.
still, the Parks and Rec, I would like to talk to them more.
Sure.
And I think it's good for them to know, what we're working on, what our aspirations are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know.
but their main oversight is actually buildings that are on the properties, not really the management of property that Brett and manages it with City Hall. The actual,
can you explain what you mean by that? You're saying,
they're about the scheduling of park and rec facilities.
okay,
Uh,
not
But
managing the
Park and
land?
Rec also falls under city parks, though.
Yeah, so we were talking about moving the skate park around. It
Yeah.
turned out that it was not their park and rec commission. It was Brett and the mayor making those types of decisions
Oh.
about where the placement is.
Okay,
So, and that the commission, if you look at the charter, is more about the facilities, like Co-Park. There's a building there and there's other,
Hmm.
buildings on the Alpha Street and other.
So that it might not be a productive use of time to show up at the meeting. and-
Yeah,
I would just email Brett.
Yeah, we could just check with Brett.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Go right to him.
In the past, when we had to collaborate with Park and Recs, it was just correspondence from the staff member to Brett, and just feeling out what his opinion was, and any upsides, downsides that he saw.
Do you have a relationship with him, Christine?
I do not.
Because I don't either, so I was just,
I mean,
Very-
I've been around on the commission for a long time, and with the Earth Day cleanups and things like that, we've had to coordinate with Park and Rec.
Like, if you send me some information on what you want me to share with him, I'll email him and I'll CC you on the email too, so you're in the chain.
okay,
Or I'll CC
yeah,
all of you.
that works well.
Fine.
Yeah, yeah, we can CC everyone.
So I'll reach out to Brett then, and I'll also get in contact with a member from TTN as well. So if we can get them coming in.
That'd be great. Thank you.
from my experience and hearing about this type of things in the past, I think the thing to focus on would be explaining to them how they're going to be maintained and getting an idea of that, because I know that they're going to be concerned about mowing and like, do they have to mow around all these trees? Do they have to weed whack them? Do they have to be careful of not
Yeah,
barking them up if they're weed whacking them? And they're probably not going to want to do anything additional other than mow the edge
Right.
around them. And maybe that's fine for these types of, because it's like, they're
Right.
mostly like chestnuts and,
Yeah,
you know,
I think
kind
we
of
can meet
things.
them where they are.
Yeah.
hopefully.
yeah, but that's what based on other conversations, that's what they'll probably be asking
Mhm.
about, is just what additional workload is it gonna make for them? And where we think it would make sense to put them.
I'll keep you guys all in the loop when I reach out to them.
Thank you, I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Okay, so moving on, we're at open space parcel inventory and data collection progress.
Yeah, so this is just, I haven't gotten to work on this at all, but Jeremy said that he generally planned these for the fall, which is a much more pleasant time to be outside. And so, you know, keep it on the agenda, but I haven't gotten a chance to kind of data download from him on how what he intended to do with it or how he thought of organizing it. So
In terms of what he intended to do, it's just something that this project has been going on through, I guess now you're the fourth staff member. So we started it with Kim right before she left, and then Rista. I did quite a bit with Rista, but I don't know where any of the information is. And then Jeremy. For Jeremy, it's been really hard for him to get it on his schedule, but it's mandated that we inventory our open space, and also, you know, we just need to we have to do it, and then we kind of need to do it so we can take a look at how we want to use it, encroachments upon it. Jeremy had a system in terms of, you know, he had a worksheet for each location, and I think that was helping him to enter the data that he needed. But we have made just very, very little progress on it in a number of years.
okay.
Yeah, so that's the history of it and where we're at with it.
Okay, well, that's good to know. It seemed like a lot more progress from just the giant stack of forms, but that's why I have to talk to him about it to see exactly where he thinks that we are in the process and what needs to come next. And I'm sure it's difficult too, because, you know, you're all more available on weekends, and, you know, for us, it's a little bit more difficult to coordinate, but we'll make sure to make something happen. And, you know, even if it's split and maybe I can find some time to do certain ones on my own and have certain ones coordinated with all of us, we can figure that out when it gets a little closer.
Okay.
Just to get it done.
So
I have availability on weekdays.
What was that?
Often. I said I have availability on weekdays often. I went out with Rista quite a few times on a number of them. So if you want, I can do it. I just need a little bit of advance notice.
Okay. Well, yeah, we can talk about that when it gets a little closer. I'm thinking October is always a good time to do that, because there's still some life.
Jeremy's practice too was to send letters to the neighboring
The
property
butters.
owners.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that, which in some cases, I'm sure, where there's like subdivisions and it's like surrounded by it, that's like, you know, you're talking 20 letters. But that's good to know. I can do that.
Yeah, the land trust is going to start doing the stewardship surveying properties.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you know, if we could weave that into what you need to accomplish on your map. That's
Of your fee owned properties?
yeah.
Okay. Do you have easements? Or does the land trust have easements or?
Yeah, but I don't think we've got many. We've got a couple.
Okay. Just curious about,
Yeah, I think we have some.
I've gotten some just throughout the planning work, some people, buyers of properties come in, and if you have the capacity to do that, might be something to bring up to your commission. You know, whether or not I should be forwarding people to the land trust if they're interested in conservation.
Yeah, why not?
I can always do that. So, okay. But yeah, that's good to know about that. We can kind of coordinate if there's any properties, especially if they're like adjacent to each other.
Mhm.
Because I know some of them are
Yeah.
adjacent to town land.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Next order is city open space plan progress, funding and development.
Yeah, and so we already kind of talked about this a little bit with the natural resources inventory. I did start to kind of look around for funding. Jeremy indicated that there may be some planning funds for this type of thing in the open space acquisition grant program through DEEP. I don't remember seeing it, but it could be in there under certain rounds. So that's something that I'll check into once those RFPs come out. And I had a very short stint prior to this working for a land trust doing land acquisition. So I remember a couple national or regional grant programs that I was looking into that had acquisition funds, but also planning funds. So I'm going to try to rack my brain a little bit and see if I can come up with something. Those are very competitive, obviously, if they're not regional because they're national, but depending on the application or the grant writing process, it might be worth a shot. So, I'll keep you all posted on that, but nothing super promising as of yet. And so it's a good reason to work on the NRI, the natural resources inventory in the meantime, just because.
Mhm.
Okay, and then in communications, we have the Conservation Commission website page edits and cleanup.
Yeah, and we talked about this last time too. For me, it's month 2 being here. So I'm just getting into the website edit. So I'm working on getting myself permission to even access on the back end of the Conservation Commission website. But once that happens, I can start without any of your input. I can at least update the membership and add myself as a contact as the staff person. But if anyone has anything that they want to talk about as far as content, I don't remember what we discussed last time as far as specific things that you might want added to that page. But in the future, that's probably where the natural resources inventory would go as well. The link to that. But do you have any thoughts?
I think that in terms of content, I wasn't part of that discussion, but I think that there were some broken links that were on the website. I think that was one of the main concerns with that, was that there were just some things that didn't go anywhere.
Yes, that's correct. And also we had an idea raised by Ella that we link to add some links. Some are broken and some we can add more links. And then, as Tom said, we have to update our membership.
Was there any specific links that?
Yes, the Conservation District, Northwest Conservation District. I believe the land trust needs to be added. I don't think that's on there.
Yeah, but the land trust, our website isn't.
Well, yes, yeah. Maybe the link will go to our Facebook page
Facebook
in the
page,
meantime. And let's see what else. What was it? The Trails Network. I'm not sure if that's linked. 22 Trails Network. Then maybe Parks and Rec, if that's not already on there.
Yep, I can do that. I can do all that pretty easily, hopefully by the next meeting. I hope, gosh. But last I heard, Rista said today she's going to try to get me access, and she's the gatekeeper, I guess. Should be pretty
CT
quick.
Rivers Alliance is broken.
Oh,
And-
CT Rivers Alliance.
Yep,
Is
it's
that,
under other useful links. You want other useful links? We're just kind of quickly going through them here.
Is Trout Unlimited on there?
Yes, and I know that they're no longer around, right? So,
They're not.
or are they in that? I
I think
thought,
maybe the local chapter isn't,
yeah,
but I think it's a national chapter. They're still.
it still works. That one still works.
Okay.
Okay. Just kind of quickly going through. Yeah, that Rivers Alliance is the only one so far that's been broken.
Okay.
They're under useful links.
I would also suggest one organization, a nonprofit I'm familiar with called Naugatuck River Revival Group. They do the River Brigade cleanups.
Also, the homeowner stormwater management guide. It links to a stormwater management guide from New Hampshire. I don't know if there's one from Connecticut. You might be able to link
There
there.
is.
Yeah, that's the one we use for our program. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll make those edits and then I'll run it by all of you and you can take a look at it and should be able to tweak it from there.
Sounds good.
Okay, is there anything else anyone wants to talk about, or are we ready for a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a
Great.
second.
Everybody all at once.
Yeah.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks. Good seeing you.
Thanks, Christine.
Aye.
I guess we have to talk to the mayor.
Yeah, I'm interning with the city with Corporation Council. We were just going through some stuff that was brought up at the city council meeting because I was on the road and I tried to zoom in the last 5 minutes. So I
Yeah,
just got in there.
yeah, I don't think there's much